So we are on this problem majority element. We are given an array nums of size n and we need to return the majority element. What does it mean by majority element? So any element in an array which repeats for more than n by 2 times is considered a majority element. For example, in this array, 3 repeats 2 times. N by 2 of this array is 1.5. 2 is larger than 1.5. So 3 is the majority element. Let's take this example. Over here, 2 repeats 4 times, 1 repeats 3 times. The half of the length of this array is 3.5. So 2 would be considered majority element because 4 is larger than 3.5. We are also given in the question that the majority element always exists. Let's take a look at a naive approach of solving this problem. We can use a map where on the left side we can have the element pointing to its frequency. We have 1 3 times. We can go through this map and we can check one by one if any one of those is larger than n by 2. But in this problem, we are requiring extra space, which depends on n. Can we solve it better? Yes, we can solve it better. We can solve this problem without using any extra space and a time complexity of O of n. Let's see how we can do that. First of all, can we say that the count of all the majority elements minus the count of all the minority elements would be greater than 0 because this repeats for more than n by 2. It repeats for more than n by 2 minus something smaller than n by 2, which means we have something greater than 0. Now, this is an intuition which would help us in understanding the solution to this problem. Let's take the example again. Let's keep a pointer at 2 and let's assume that 2 is the majority element. Majority set to 2. And we know at least it's repeating for one time. So count of its repetition would be 1. After that, we would move I forward until the end. So let's move I forward to 2 again. Since we encountered the majority element again, we can say that 2 is repeating 2 times, which means we can increment the counter. Let's move I forward. Now we are at 1. We are hitting an element which is not the same as majority. So in this case, we are going to decrement the count of the majority element, which means this 2 becomes 1. Let's move I forward. So I points to 1. Since 1 is not a majority element, the majority count decrements, which means 1 becomes 0 and the majority element is discarded and it is replaced with a new majority element, which is the element at I. that is 1. When we set a new majority, the count is also reset to 1 because now we have at least one 1. Let's move I forward to 1. Since we hit the majority element again, we can increment the majority count to 2. Let's move I forward to 2. We hit an element which is not majority, which means the count of the majority element would decrease. This 2 would become 1. Let's move I forward. We are at 2, again not a majority. This count becomes 0. If the count becomes 0, we reset majority to the element at I, which means majority becomes 2. When we set a new majority, we also reset the count to 1. Now I cannot move forward. We have a majority element of 2, and this is our solution. Now this problem is very hard to get an intuition of, but if you understand the fact that these two would be adding plus 1, and plus 1, and even if these ones, all the minorities, subtract from the total count, the summation would always be greater than 0. And this intuition would help you understand why this solution even works. Now let's take a look at the code implementation. I'm in the code editor. I am given this function majority element, and as an input I am given numbers. It's an array, and I need to return the majority element. The first thing, I would like to assume a majority. So let's say majority equals to nums of 0. This I would assume is a majority. The next thing, I would keep a count, assign it to 1. Next, I would iterate through my numbers. So for that, I can say for number in nums 1 colon, which means from the index 1 till the end. The first thing I would check if my number is equals to the majority element. If it is equals to the majority element, increment the count of that majority element. If we are not equals to, decrement the count of that majority element. If that count became equal to 0, this is the reset time, which means majority becomes num, the new element, and count is reset, which means count is 1. Now this is all we need to traverse through the array and get a majority element. Now we can return this majority element from over here. Let's run this code. We have it passing. Let's submit it. We have a solution.